Have you ever felt like you're wearing a mask, one so tight it feels like your skin, like you're playing a role that no longer fits, yet you keep performing because it's all you've ever known? What if I told you the version of you that exists right now needs to vanish? Not in some self-help cliché way, but in the way a true ninja would disappear into the shadows to be reborn stronger, faster, sharper. Because the truth is, your current self is your silent enemy. It's the thoughts you don't question, the habits you excuse, the comfort you mistake for peace. And here's the harsh reality. The person you are today is built for the problems of yesterday, but the life you want, the purpose you crave, requires a completely different version of you. This is the ninja method, a secret path built on destruction, rebirth, and endless refinement. Not just change, transformation. The kind that demands you kill who you are to become who you were meant to be. The ancient shinobi didn't just master weapons, they mastered identity. They knew that sometimes the only way forward is through disappearance, a complete erasure of self, so that something stronger can rise in its place. In this video, you'll discover why your identity must die for you to evolve, how to let go of your old patterns like a ninja discards his shadow, and how to rebuild with intentional precision. And if you think this is just motivational fluff, stay with me, because the ninja didn't leave behind scrolls for applause, they left behind philosophy. What you're about to learn was once whispered in the dark. Now, it's yours to unlock. Most enemies reveal themselves with time, but the most dangerous ones are silent. They blend into your routines, your thoughts, your identity. That's exactly what happens with your current self. It pretends to protect you, but it's the very thing holding you back. It tells you you're fine, when deep down you know you're not evolving. Imagine a ninja who's spent years mastering a single technique. He's quick, precise, confident, but also predictable. He repeats the same patterns in every mission, relying on what worked in the past. At first, it made him powerful. But over time, the world changed, and he didn't. He didn't evolve. And eventually, that mastery became a prison. He's no longer improving. He's surviving. That ninja is you. It's me. It's anyone stuck in old habits, thinking they're being loyal to themselves, when in reality, they're just afraid to let go. You don't cling to your past because it's strong. You cling to it because it's familiar. We all carry an internal version of ourselves shaped by our history, by trauma, by wins, by what helped us get through storms. That version served a purpose. But now, it's outdated. It's like armor that no longer fits, heavy, rusted, and keeping you from moving forward. The ninja's deadliest enemy is the one inside the dojo. The one wearing the same clothes, following the same routines, holding on to the same beliefs. You think it's discipline? But really, it's fear. Fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of failure, fear of being a beginner again. And just like the silent enemy in the shadows, your old self knows exactly how to strike, with doubt, hesitation, overthinking. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It says, you can't. You've tried before. You're not ready. And the more you listen, the more you shrink into that old version of yourself. But here's the truth. That's not who you are. That's who you were trained to be. And you can untrain yourself. Until you see your current self as an opponent, not a friend, you'll keep repeating the same mission with the same ending. And you weren't born for repetition. You were born for evolution. Every ninja wears a mask, not just to hide their face, but to protect their identity. In ancient times, it was a tool for survival. But what happens when the mask starts to feel permanent? When it no longer protects you, but defines you? You've worn one too. We all have. The confident version of yourself that smiles when things hurt. The version that says, I'm fine, when you're falling apart. The identity you present to the world, built on expectation, fear, pride, or pain. At some point, it stops being a disguise and becomes your reality. But here's the truth. The longer you wear the mask, the harder it is to remember who you are underneath. And yet, the person you're meant to become is buried beneath that mask. Beneath the defense mechanisms, the excuses, the image you've maintained for others. It's time to tear it off. This is the part most people avoid, because removing the mask doesn't just expose your truth to the world, it exposes it to yourself. It forces you to admit that some parts of you aren't working anymore, that some parts never really did. Maybe you've been hiding behind ambition because you're scared of failure. or behind humor because you're afraid of being vulnerable. Maybe the disciplined version of you is really just running from chaos. But that confrontation is necessary. A ninja must train in solitude, not just to refine technique, but to destroy illusion. The illusion that this is just who I am. The illusion that you're stuck. The illusion that your future is limited by your past. And when you finally face it, when you stand in front of your own reflection without filters, something shifts. You stop running. You stop pretending. You begin to strip away the roles, the stories, the masks. And what's left is raw, uncomfortable, but finally, real. This is the moment when the old identity cracks, when you stop clinging to the version of yourself you created for others, and you begin to create a version that's actually yours. Let the mask fall. Let it shatter. Because once it's gone, you'll realize the real enemy was never the world outside. It was the version of you that refused to be seen. Once the mask falls, silence follows. Not applause, not clarity, just silence. And that silence can feel like death. This is the phase nobody talks about. The darkness after the breakdown. The void between who you were and who you're becoming. You've burned the bridge behind you, but there's nothing ahead, just fog. And yet, this is exactly where the ninja thrives. In ancient scrolls, it was said that true training didn't begin until the warrior entered Muga no Kyochi, the state of nothingness. Not just silence of the world, but silence within the self. No labels, no ego, just pure presence. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also sacred, because this is the space where transformation begins. Most people run from this moment. They rush to rebuild. They jump into new goals, new habits, a new identity, desperate to fill the silence with something that feels solid. But the ninja knows better. He sits in the dark. He watches. He listens. He allows everything that was once familiar to die slowly. This is where your old self screams the loudest. It tries to pull you back. It reminds you of your limits, your past, your failures. It tells you to cling to the old story, to rebuild quickly, to feel safe again. But in this darkness, you begin to hear something else, something quieter, deeper, the voice of who you're meant to be. And it doesn't speak in certainty. It whispers in questions. Who am I without my patterns, without my titles, without my fear? It's tempting to want answers, but the ninja doesn't chase answers. He becomes still, because only in stillness can you see clearly, and only in darkness can you redefine your path without noise. This moment, this void, is the rebirth chamber. You are no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. It's a dangerous place, but also the most powerful. Because here, for the first time, you're free from expectation, free to imagine, free to choose, free to create a version of yourself that's not reactive, but intentional. Every warrior must pass through darkness to find his edge, and right now, you're in it. Embrace the silence, embrace the fear, because it means you're exactly where you need to be. Emerging from darkness doesn't mean charging into the light. It means walking carefully, deliberately, like a ninja stepping between shadows. This is the moment where you begin to rebuild, but not as who you were, as who you choose to become. Rebuilding isn't about grabbing whatever is left and stacking it back together. It's about reforging. Like a blade shattered in battle, you don't glue it back. You melt it down. You remove impurities. You hammer it again and again, reshaping it with intention. This isn't repair, it's rebirth. And this is where most people fail. They rush, they pile on goals, productivity systems, new routines, but they don't ask the deeper question: is this aligned with who I want to be? The ninja never moves without a purpose. Every habit is deliberate, every action sharpened like steel. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters, and do it with precision. This is the mindset shift. Rebuilding isn't about control, it's about clarity. It's about knowing exactly what kind of warrior you want to be, and then forging the mindset, habits, and systems that support that version. Ask yourself, what habits do I choose to keep? Which ones must stay in the ashes? What kind of discipline am I willing to commit to? Not just when I feel motivated, but when it's hard, when it's cold, when nobody's watching. Hattori Hanzo, one of the most legendary ninjas in history, wasn't feared because he was loud. He was feared because he was precise, silent, intentional. You never saw him coming. That's who you become in this phase. Not loud, but focused. Not reactive, but strategic. Start small. Sharpen one habit. Remove one distraction. Set one boundary. Don't build from pressure. Build from alignment. Because if your new life isn't built with intention, it will collapse under the same weight as the old one. You don't need 100 breakthroughs. You need one choice, done consistently, to tip everything. That's how the ninja trains. Quietly, with focus, with fire. You are reforging your blade. And this time, it's not just sharper, it's unbreakable. Because it was created by choice, not by chance. You've reforged the blade. You've melted down the old self, stood in the stillness, and rebuilt with intention. But now comes the part that separates the few who evolve from the many who relapse. This isn't over. It never is. The ninja path isn't a destination. It's a cycle, a quiet revolution that never stops. Just like the moon fades and returns, just like the seasons change without asking for permission, you, too, must change again and again. Because every version of you, no matter how strong, how focused, how intentional, will eventually reach its limit. The habits that work today may become obstacles tomorrow. The beliefs that push you forward now may hold you back later. And that's okay. That's part of the code. True transformation is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming aware. It's knowing when you've outgrown your identity and having the courage to destroy it again. That's what makes the ninja different. He doesn't fear the cycle. He prepares for it. He sharpens his awareness like a weapon. He listens for the subtle signs: resistance, boredom, excuses, indicators that another version of himself needs to burn. Miyamoto Musashi, though known more as a samurai, lived by this ninja-like code. Even at the peak of mastery, he reinvented himself. He believed that the path to true strength was constant self-abandonment, leaving behind what no longer served him, again and again. And that's your path now. You've done the hard part once. But can you do it again when it hurts more? When life is comfortable? When no one is watching? Because comfort is the most seductive mask of all. It tells you that you've arrived. But growth doesn't happen at the destination. It happens on the edge. So ask yourself, are you willing to keep evolving, even when it means killing parts of yourself you've grown to love? Are you willing to be reborn, even when no one claps for your transformation? This is the ninja method. Quiet, consistent, relentless. You rise, you refine, you rise again. And every time, you become something fewer people recognize, but more deeply you. So the next time you feel stuck, frustrated, or lost, remember, it's not a breakdown, it's a signal. A whisper from the warrior within, telling you it's time to shed another skin. Burn it down, sharpen your blade, step forward, and when you rise again, rise with clarity, rise with purpose. Rise not as a copy of who you were, but as a refined version of who you were always meant to become. Because the ninja path never ends, and neither does your potential. If this video spoke to something inside you, subscribe, join the path, and never stop evolving.